So you want a cow? We'll talk about that today. Welcome back to the Countryside News. Hey, let us know what topics you'd like to see covered on this YouTube video. Send us your ideas to 123countrysidenews@gmail.com. 123countrysidenews@gmail.com. Well, cows are a good thing to have, but you really want to have both eyes open when you go into this venture. Let me tell you a little bit about cows. There's a number of dairy breeds, that is to say, the kinds of milk cows that you can choose from. Here's the most distinguishing features of the most common, and I've only picked 3, but bear in mind there's a lot more, yet these are some of the easiest to deal with. The Jersey is a smaller, docile breed, pretty gentle around children. It has shades that vary from black to cream. The most common is a fawn color. The Jersey has sad puppy dog looking eyes, and a lot of the girls like go, oh, when they see them. Norman is the little calf in the movie City Slickers. He was a little Jersey calf. When it gets mature, the cow will weigh between 600 and 900 pounds. Not as big as some. Well, look at the Jersey now. The Jersey is a little bit larger. She tends to be more red, and she'll have white patches on her. She too has a mild temperament, just like the Jersey. The milk is golden colored, owing to the amount of beta carotene that's in the milk. The other breeds don't have this. Their milk is white or creamy white, but the Guernsey's is definitely golden colored. The milk fat in both breeds hovers near 5%, pretty high. The protein is 3.7 to 3.9%. And those numbers are important if you want to sell the milk to a bottler or out to a cheese manufacturer. Now, milk is sold on the market by the 100 weight, 100 pounds, or about 11.7 gallons for 100 pounds. If you have one milk cow, you won't be selling that on the market. You might be selling it to your neighbors or friends. The Holstein now is the largest of the dairy breeds, and this cow will weigh in at 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. She'll usually be around 1,200, but it's not uncommon to get to 1,500. She's usually black and white, though there are red Holsteins. The butter fat is quite a bit lower in this breed, but her milk output per pound is much, much higher. The average Holstein will give you about 28,000 pounds of milk a year, roughly 91 pounds a day, or more than 10 gallons of milk every day. It's quite a bit of milk to give you every day. The milk year for a cow is figured at 305 days, not 365, because the cow will be dry for a couple months. That's to say, she's not going to be milking. She won't be milking prior to when she has her calf. Remember, all these numbers are an average. Nothing's written in stone here. Some animals are higher and some are lower. But no matter which breed you choose, the care is generally the same for all of them. Before we get into that, let's answer the first burning question I know you have. How much does a cow cost? Well, there's a lot of variables to consider, as there is with all kinds of animals. But let's assume you're not looking for a registered animal that carries the same meaning as it would for a dog or a horse. The price around here for a milking Holstein is around $850. You can also buy open heifers for sale, meaning that the cow is nearing the weight when she can be bred. You can buy shortbred heifers that are 2 to 4 months into pregnancy, or a springing heifer 4 to 9 months pregnant. Of course, you can buy calves at any weight. If you buy an open calf or an open heifer, you're responsible to get it bred. Remember, your cow won't give any milk until after she's had a calf. You generally call a professional artificial inseminator to get your cow bred. And the pregnancy for a cow is almost identical to that for a woman, just over 9 months. Now, the calves that will be born, if it's a smaller breed, will be about 55 pounds for the Holstein, 90 pounds, though we have seen calves weigh in at 110 pounds. It's a pretty big little animal there. Well, now that you've had your cow hauled home in an enclosed trailer, and I emphasize that because you can't haul her home in an open pickup truck. You can't haul this cow home in a little trailer behind your pickup truck. It really needs to be an enclosed trailer. So where are you going to put this cow? You can't let her roam around your backyard. You can't keep her in your yard shed. You don't want her in your garage. Well, why not? Sheer weight of the animal pushing against your building is going to cause a very lot of damage. And then there's her need for a steady supply of water. Most yard sheds aren't going to have this, neither are most garages. Now, a cow is going to drink about 50 gallons of water a day, and she needs to have access to that throughout the day. I'm sure you've got more to do than carry your little bucket back and forth all day long, and your cow's head's not going to fit into a little pail anyway. And another reason you're not going to want to keep this cow in your backyard or in your shed or your garage is because of the amount of the manure. Each cow is going to give you over 100 pounds of manure, more like 115 pounds of manure a day. So that's a lot of poop to get rid of. If you think about how you have to run around, scoop up after your dog, you don't want to be scooping up this much manure. You have to have a place to put it. Seriously, where would you put that much manure every single day? Well, the cow's got to eat, and she's going to eat off and on all day long. There's a lot of information out there about how to feed your calf. There's whole science classes dedicated to it at the university, so I won't get into that. But in general, they need a number of things. Along with the water, she's going to need some grain. She'll need about 35 pounds of grain a day. Less if she's dry, more if she's very heavy lactating. But figure 35 pounds a day, and you're going to split that between two separate feedings. She'll need some hay or some silage. We'll call that roughage. Without that, her stomach will get twisted. Literally twisted around. She'll get very sick. She'll go down. Leads to a lot of vet bills. So you need to keep that roughage going. And the price of that's going to vary if you buy it by the bale or if you buy it by the ton, if you buy first crop, second crop, third crop, if it's alfalfa, if it's clover, if it's corn silage. There's just a ton of variables. And I can't even give you any prices. Depends upon where you buy it, the season of the year, and really how the weather was during the last harvest season. So if you don't want to be going down to your feed mill every day, you're going to need a good place to store a larger amount of feed. It's going to be too much to haul in your little SUV or your pickup truck if you want to store a larger quantity. But aside from eating, she'll need a warm, dry place to sleep. And in that place, she'll need some bedding. Now, I don't know if you have a little barn on your property, but if you live where it gets cold and snows in the winter, if she's the only animal in your barn, that's not going to work. She's going to get too hot, too cold in there. I don't know how many animals you need in your barn. There's a lot of variables on that. Keeping her warm is one problem if she's just a single cow. Now, the bedding that she sleeps on is to keep her dry and warm from the cold dirt or the ground or the cement, whatever you have. She's going to use quite a bit of bedding, and no, you're not going to go shake a little bit more on every day like you would a little gerbil cage. It's going to be bale after bale. You can use corn fodder. You can use sawdust. You can use straw is probably the most common. The prices of these will vary just about as much as that for your roughage. Another thing that you're going to consider is the barns are pretty drafty, so if you're going to put just one cow in there, as I said before, it's not going to work. So you need to look at if there's water in your barn and what kind of stall you'll have her tied in. Definitely when you milk her, she's not going to stand real still on her own. You're going to want to have her tied or chained up or an old-fashioned stanchion. Now remember, you have to milk this cow, and that's your main purpose that you want her. Milking a cow is not hard. You can find all kinds of samples, videos, and instructions out there. If you just have 1 or 2 cows, you might not have a big milking unit. You really wouldn't need to invest in that. Just get you a little stool and a milk pail that'll hold 3 gallons or so, and sit there and do it. But it does take some practice, not on the milking, but how to handle the cow while you milk. And we've all heard the phrase kick the bucket, and that's where this originates from, because inevitably, until you get good at handling the cow, she's going to kick the bucket. You lose a lot of milk. Well, cows need milk twice a day. The bigger farmers might milk 3 times a day, but twice a day is imperative. Every day, every single day, every day. Christmas, New Year's, Easter, the days you're hungover, your son's birthday, your anniversary, every single day. If you're not going to be there, you need someone else to do it, and they need to be comfortable around animals. If they're not, they're going to cause damage to her udder, and you're going to get into some expensive veterinarian bills. This is a very serious consideration if you want a milk cow. A lot of people underestimate the responsibility that this chore time is. Well, take a breath death now that I've scared you enough. Your eyes are wide open and you can see these 6, 8, 10 gallons of milk coming into your house every day. That's a lot of milk for a small family, or if you're on your own, or even if you have a big family, it's more than you'll need. Well, you can make some butter with it, and you can go find out how to do that also. It's not hard. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You can feed it to your cows, your calves, your pigs, your chickens. You can throw it out in the yard. I don't care what you do with it. But because it's not homogenized and it's not pasteurized, it's not going to last you the 10 or 14 days as it would if you bought it in a store with those processes done. Well, if your intention is to sell this extra milk, you need to know what your state regulations are on that. There's a lot of variations from state to state. I did some looking up on this, and I found out that 12 states will allow raw milk to be sold in the stores. One of those states requires that if you're the producer, you also have to be the owner of the store. The other states aren't that strict. 17 of our states allow you to sell the milk on your property. 17 others prohibit it altogether. In 4 states, raw milk can only be obtained through cow shares. While in states that do allow raw milk sales, most of them require various types of permits through the state and through your county. There will be vaccinations that they'll have to come and show that your veterinarian has taken care of this, and the cows will be tested yearly to make sure their vaccinations are on time and current. You'll also be inspected by the state or again your county, as they're going to look for certain levels of bacteria, cleanliness of the production area and the sales area. This can be done quarterly or semi-annually or annually. There's also regulations on the types of signage you need to have throughout your milking area and throughout the sales area. Also, perhaps even on the containers that you ship the milk out in to your customers. So be absolutely certain of what you're getting into on this. A really good website to see if your state even qualifies is called www.milk.procon.org. That's milk.procon, Procon.org. Well, happy milking to you if you go into this. Send us your ideas for further topics to 123 countrysidenews@gmail.com. Thanks. Have a good day.